Your chance to find out more about mental illness is at the Vail Symposium with Dr. Jack Eck. And joining me now is the doctor himself to tell us a little bit more about mental illness here in Colorado, and not just mental illness, but also why suicide is such a high result here in the state of Colorado. How are you doing this morning?
Great, thanks. Honored to be here.
Thanks for coming on the show. Now, this is actually a topic I've been curious about myself. It's something I've heard a lot about, that suicide and mental illness can be a lot higher here in the state of Colorado. Why is that?
I'm not sure anyone who knows exactly why it's here, but actually about 1 million people in Colorado with mental illness. And it's interesting that many folks don't even realize they have it. Because de facto mental illness can actually be somebody who everything's going well, you feel good, and all of a sudden you get some bad news. Maybe you might have a cancer, you have a concern about it. Then that induces some anxiety. In the global picture, when I first came to Vail was right after Vietnam, and of course there's a lot of veterans hanging around here. And you know all the repercussions from Vietnam and the mental issues these folks carry, and some of them still carry today. Everyone can realize that over 1/5 of the people in the United States have a mental illness issue, and it's very difficult to address. It's something that a lot of people brush under the carpet and don't really want to talk about. So now that people are more coming forth with what they're having, I think we're seeing more, if you would. There's an awful lot more suicide here in the high country of Colorado, particularly in the Intermountain area. And a lot of folks, as you know, love Colorado. It's so beautiful, it's gorgeous. We have all this ideation of Vail, Aspen, great place to be, it's Valhalla. And the same problems that people have before they came here also manifest themselves when they're here, because they're trying to find a geographical fix for a non-geographical problem, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
And I think that it's becoming obvious that there's more and more folks moving, and therefore more and more people who have issues we're not even aware of.
Yeah, that does make sense. There's a lot of transients here that come from all over, not just the United States, but from the world. What are some symptoms? How can we tell? Maybe if we're saying we're watching the show or saying to ourselves, how do we know if we might have something that we should talk to someone about?
Great question, but the answer isn't simple. I mean, a lot of folks can be going day by day, as I said before, and feel just fine. All of a sudden something comes up. The boss gets upset with them, or they find they have some other, maybe a cancer coming. All of a sudden they're just overwhelmed. Other folks handle it very differently, but we have an increased population here. It's much more. When I first started practicing in this county, and it was 1971, I'd come back from Vietnam. There were a lot of these folks just hanging out, and they were having all kind of problems. But now as the county is growing, more people, more problems. And just the expansion of people, the community are there, and of course they tax more of the resources. In Colorado, for some reason, about 10 or 11 years ago, all the mental health beds were shut down. There was no place to go. And in a sense, our jails became the de facto place to keep people.
Right.
If they are seen in the emergency rooms, that can be overwhelmed because they need a lot of attention. And once seen in the emergency room, then what do you do with them later? You can't just send them out. And without the mental health community being adequately supplied, we were stuck with them. So many folks ended up in jail. Most people, even in jail, had no place to go, or once they got there, then that enhanced some underlying subliminal disturbances they were unaware they had of too.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Eck, I'm so sorry, but we're just about out of time. When can we come and learn a little bit more from you? Because I know you're going to be speaking at the Vail Symposium. Well,
I'm actually going to be doing the introductions. I happen to be on the board of the Depression Center at the University of Colorado, and their faculty are going to be here. So it'll be learned tonight, and actually if you dial up the Vail Symposium, I know there's probably still plenty of room for people who have a great interest in it.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have the website up on the screen. It's vailsymposium.org, and so you can come and learn a little bit more about mental illness here in the state of Colorado and how this issue can be addressed and how it can have a solution as well. So vailsymposium.org to get a little bit more information. But coming up next, we're going to check in with Mark Sassy again. He's live in Eagle. He'll have a look at that weather forecast.